Give me the ones you finished.
Okay, so it looks like we got everyone here. Start off with pull up my agenda here. Actions taken in closed session. We had no reports out of closed session. And then next we have Invocation, led by Trustee Lang, and Pledge of Allegiance, led by Trustee Jay.
We offer our condolences for all the families and friends who lost loved ones in the senseless bombing that occurred on Easter Sunday in the Sri Lanka church. We continue to hope that one day everyone will understand and respect the preciousness of life and the importance of all creatures to the survival of our species. We give thanks to the many blessings that have been bestowed upon us, with the hope that we will use such gifts to help those less fortunate than ourselves. And finally, we ask for your guidance to make the best possible decisions for those that we serve. Thank you.
Now for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have public comments. Do have a couple here. Looks like we have first up is Linda Fontanella, and then on deck is Nancy Montgomery.
Good evening, President Pendergrass, members of the board, and Chancellor Burke. Linda Fontanella, Vice President of Student Services, Irvine Valley College. On behalf of Dr. Rockmore and I, we would like to recognize one of the events that is happening all week long at Irvine Valley College, and also recognize one of our employees. Thanks to all of you who are in your denim today, recognizing Sexual Assault Week. As you know, Title IX officer here, the work that we do is so important to making sure that our students can continue to seek their education even when they're going through some of the most difficult times of their life. So we really appreciate all the support that you have given to us. We have a week-long schedule, thanks to Dr. Elizabeth Cypress, and I've left some of those calendars with staff so that you can see them, in hopes that you will be able to make some of the events at Irvine Valley College. Second of all, and most important of all, we would like to recognize one of our great employees of all time. We would like to recognize Nancy Montgomery this evening. As you know, Nancy has been the advocate of all advocates for our veteran students, and I could only say that coming out of the Vietnam era, if I would have had an eighth of the advocacy that she and her colleagues have given to our students, we would be so much better off for that. Just recently, Nancy was awarded, along with her colleagues, the $2 million innovation grant. She shares that grant with Todd Steffen, the director of the Veterans Center at Los Positos College, Patty DeOrange Martin, and her colleagues at the Veterans Center at American River. Nancy and her colleagues set out to do a study and look at all 114 colleges and how the veterans were receiving comprehensive services, or if not. They collected that data and they worked with RP Group, and the results of that data is in this very, very fine document here that I believe you've all seen a copy of, and if not, we'll get you one. It is the State of Veteran Students in California Community College, and unbelievable data collected on what services students are receiving, what they need, what the conditions are, and where these centers are located, and what other colleges need to support their veteran students. So she is just doing an extremely great job on that with her colleagues. And just this weekend, in the Register, you may have seen the full two-page report that was generated by very kind journalists at the Register, talked about one of our veteran students who was in great need when he came, on the verge of committing suicide, and of course the fine work that Nancy and her colleagues are doing. We just can't say enough about the great work that she is doing and the recognition it's bringing, not only to Irvine Valley College, but to all directors who run veteran centers in the state of California. And I'd just like for you to join me in recognizing and thanking Nancy for her great work. Thank you so much.
I guess we get our chance, because next we have Nancy Montgomery.
Well, thank you. That was very unexpected. So, Board of Trustees and Chancellor Burke, I would like to just expand a little bit. I do hope some of you got to see that article in the Register. It was 2 full pages, and it was surprising to me because when the reporter came out, she kind of said, we're going to do a story. And when that story evolved into a 2-page spread of everything in there, and they have Congressman Lou Correa and several others in there commenting on that, stating the needs of veterans, it's vital that we get that information, but also vital to know that the VA and the Department of Defense is not really working for them still. So we've got to keep going with that so that we get this funds and keep acknowledging our veterans and making sure that they get the services and supports that they need when they're discharged. Our community colleges, as all of you know, are the first avenue that veterans come into. But what we've never done is any type of data reveal. This is the first data ever that's come out on California Community College veterans, the post 9/11 veterans. There's about 80 to 90,000 of those veterans in our 114 community colleges. What this data has proven, and we collected the data, the RP group guided us on how to do it. They analyzed it, and it's just quality across the board. I did a large presentation at the Veterans Summit, but this is the first data that's been out there that's going to actually tell the true story of what's going on, their needs, how they are succeeding, how they're not. They did 6 key findings in here. The key findings included things like, number 1 was mental health services, lack of that. Lack of data that actually shows accurate data to show what this vulnerable population needs. It's important that we know that because we can't help them even with guided pathways if we don't know the needs of what we're looking at, if we don't address those needs when they first come in. So all of those things together have put in here. I think it's just huge kudos to our district to know that we could put out something like this. We took the lead on it. We have 106 colleges that we actually observed to find the information out of there at 114. Now, those 8 that we didn't hit was mainly because either they didn't have a Veterans Resource Center, they had nobody doing anything there, and they were really tiny colleges that maybe had 4 or 5 veterans that they didn't have services. So it was an interesting report. It will guide us on what we're doing, but I think we all need to be really proud of what we did here because this just shows the example of what we're coming out of our district and out of IVC. So I'm very proud of this. So I do hope you read it and look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. Next we have Morgan Barrows, and then I apologize for the writing. It looks like Ferris Chatib on deck.
Good evening. My name is Morgan Barrows, and I'm the Department Chair for Environmental Studies at Saddleback College. I just wanted to commend the members of the board for passing a resolution for Earth Day and for supporting district-wide commitment to cleaning up and protecting the environment. I would also like to inform you that Saddleback College, along with the Environmental Awareness Club, hosts an Earth Week event. So we have events scheduled all week long. I provided you a list of our schedules. And like your resolutions, focusing on plastic pollution. These events are open to the community and campus-wide, and I would also like to thank Associated Student Government for helping to fund some of these events. So thank you again for your commitment, and happy Earth Day.
Thank you. It's in your agenda. All right, so next we had Ferris Chatib. Did I say that right?
Oh, sorry. Hello, my name is Faraz Khatib, Senator of Business at IVC, incoming president of A Street of IVC. I just wanted to make a statement here today just discussing about the recent topic of increasing the healthcare fee at IVC from $20 to $21. While being presented about the healthcare fee for the dollar increase, we were presented about how this benefit to the Office of Health Services. I had asked exactly what the income of the health office was currently to Nancy, and I would like to also applaud you on all the work you have been doing at IVC. But while asking what the current budget was, just to get proper knowledge of how and why this increase of $1 was occurring, I was basically led to kind of confused as to why the dollar increase was occurring, because I was given basically a statement essentially stating that we weren't getting properly funded, and there was a grant being granted to the health services fee that the health office that wouldn't be essentially going to be sustained for longer. However, then I had asked what the dollar increase would benefit to them. They said that it would benefit essentially the grant that would be removed this year. Then I had asked exactly how it would, and then if I could possibly see the budget in order to make my own proper assessment. But then essentially the question was kind of just removed and then just would not be acknowledged properly. And all I'm basically saying that why I'm here today is that me being a student here today, paying essentially around $900 I had paid just last semester just to go to school, on top of paying around $200 to $300 just for my books in general. I don't believe that this dollar increase, although it may be just $1, is reason to increase that healthcare fee, because just the $20 on top of that just to pay to go to school in order to have these healthcare fees is not just. And that's why I'm here today, just to give my explanation. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay. So next we have board reports. I'll start down with Trustee Witt this time. She's going to be mad at you. She didn't ask.
Good evening, everyone. My report will be short this evening. I know we have some presentations. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate everyone who is so involved with our Book of the Year, Beautiful Boy. I happened to see it 3 times on a plane because I couldn't see the beginning one time, and then I wanted to see that, and then I didn't get to see the ending. So there were many, many facets of it that I shared with you last time about mental illness that we talked about. And I'm just going to say it again. Please keep your eyes open to your friends and neighbors and just not what you read in the newspaper. I also attended Don Wagner, our former Board of Trustee member. He was installed as a supervisor in Area 4. I'd never been to something of that production. It was very, very nice, and appreciated the invite. Also attended the State of South County presentation by Lisa Bartlett. And I even took a few pictures of the posters that were presented. I was very impressed. Those of us who live in South County, there's a lot going on and a lot of networking, which I thought was important just for the people there. I also attended our proclamation at, Santa Margarita, Rancho Santa Margarita's city council meeting, and it was delightful. I have to, it was hard to find coming all the way from LAX from the airport that day, taking, what is it called, Waze for the first time. I've never been in that area of Los Angeles before. At any rate, that was the sidebar. It's very nice to know that our communities are joined, and even if it was a 10-minute presentation, I have to say that the sincerity of the mayor was wonderful, and I appreciate that. And I think he's very appreciative of Saddleback College. It was very, very nice. I also want to say that I am in favor, very much in favor, of what our Health Science and Human Service Department is doing. Diane Pestalacy, she is working extremely hard to fight for everyone in the community, but also for Saddleback College, because you know that the clinical placements out there are getting very sparse because of the private schools who have money and have unique ways of sharing that money. And now we've gone from 60 students per semester to 50. So that means we are graduating 20 less a year. And it's surprising. Today I had something done and I said, "Where'd you go to school?" And she said, "Saddleback College, it's the best." Now, I didn't ask her to say that. So just, if you hear any information about it, do support our college. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. Trustee Milchker.
Thank you. I'll start from the end of my report because I want to thank Professor Barrows for bringing up Earth Day. Congratulations to everyone today on Earth Day. As you all know, Earth Day was founded in 1970, and every year we celebrate Earth Day. And right now there's 193 countries celebrating it. And in our college, we do our bit. We've initiated our own sustainability policy in 2009, and we continue to provide leadership in this area. We save 3 million kilowatts of electricity from our cogeneration plant at Saddleback College. The district recycles over 900 tons of waste every year, and 81 million gallons of water of the 105 consumed are recycled by our recycled irrigation water plants. And I remember when we put those in, and I was so proud of it. And finally, Saddleback, Irvine Valley College, and ATEP, their last 5 buildings that we built are all LEED Gold certified or LEED Gold equivalent. So they're all high energy efficient buildings. I also attended the Irvine Valley College Legislative Task Force meeting, where we're taking positions on many of these legislative bills that are being initiated in Sacramento. We talked about supporting position AB 720 and AB 1727. We talked about, I won't go into it because there's not enough time here. We discussed, as Trustee Witt said, we discussed opportunities to collaborate to help our nursing students get this clinical placement issue. And as Trustee Witt said, Diane Pestalozzi is actually going tomorrow to join the CCLC and the Board of Registered Nursing to testify for the Business and Profession Committee against AB 1364, which would be detrimental to our particular community colleges. I'm a member of UCI CLNM, the Center for Neurobiology of Learning and Memory, and I attended a meeting last week where Dr. Suni Gandhi, the Associate Director, talked about how he felt the most proud he ever felt when one of his students in one of his classes said, a community college transfer student said she felt right at home in his class. And he said he felt that was the biggest compliment he ever could have gotten. He said this means that his college class, this 4-year college class, was small, intimate, warm, accepting, friendly, and challenging, but doable for these students. And he says he gets many students from IVC and Saddleback College into his program. They've had experience in doing online research and doing original research through one of our professors, Dr. Benjamin Miss, who's getting the Teacher of the Year award tonight. We're giving him a resolution for the Teacher of the Year. He has the students do original research, and so many of our professors have our students do original research, which is incredible in a community college area. I also met with people for the Marion Bergerson Award to choose the Marion Bergerson Award winners, and it was nice to get caught up with the other school board trustees that I worked so closely with for so many years, and we're presenting this award on May 1st, along with the Maureen DeMarco Award. I attended Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods, a production done at Saddleback College by Scott Farthing, and it was, as any Stephen Sondheim play, edgy, exciting, interesting, and thought-provoking, and just excellent. And then I attended South Pacific at IVC, which is always wonderful, and it was incredibly beautifully done with wonderful singing and music. Attended Saddleback College Day of Silence to help LGBTQ communities. The Saddleback College Jobs and Career Fair. They say this is the second largest jobs and career fair in South Orange County, where I talked with a student that got a job that day. That was really, really great. And I attended a roundtable discussion by Professor Kim Branch Stewart are on one beautiful boy, the book, One Book, One College that we're doing, and the author's visit is going to be on May 1st, so keep that in mind. And the Disabled Student Program and Services Program, where so many of our disabled students were given awards. And our other Professor of the Year from Saddleback College, Dr. Mike Hogat, was much beloved by these many disabled students that really have been given a chance to make it because of these programs. Thank you.
Okay, I guess you took Jim's time too.
Yeah,
Trustee Jamal.
All right. So I too attended a number of celebrations of Community College Awareness Month. Also attended with Trustee Milchiker and Letitia and Elliot Stern the recognition before the City Council of Rancho Santa Margarita. We also were able to get recognized before the County Board of Supervisors. Myself, Dr. Rockmore, Elliot, and Letitia were there. And then just last week, we went to the city of Aliso Viejo. So it's really gratifying to see our cities recognizing the work that we do, the work that you all do, and the students that we have. I think that's really important. And tomorrow is Mission Viejo. It's my home city, so I look forward to doing that. I also attended the South County dinner with our board chair, board supervisor chair, Lisa Bartlett. And Trustee Witt is right. The county, with a $6 billion budget, has a big impact on what we do countywide, and I think it's important to become aware of the services that they provide. Final thoughts is that I've been thinking a lot about ATEP, and I think that it's really important to me, and I think to everyone in this room and in the district, that we really start to make some tangible progress on ATEP. I know when I came onto the board, it was probably the singular issue I was most concerned about making progress on. So I do think we all need to figure out a way to move forward on ATEP, and that's the administration, the colleges, faculty, and let's start making progress, because we owe it to our community, we owe it to our students, we owe it to the district. So I'm really looking forward to progress, tangible, hope to see more progress in the coming months. So something that's been on my mind a lot, and I think we can do it, but we need to work a little bit better and a little bit smarter, in my opinion. Thank you.
Trustee Lang. Oh, well, I just went on the list.
So one of the things that hasn't been mentioned so far, but that we all participated in, was all the Board of Trustees were in a special session to learn more about the data that had been collected by our outside consultants who facilitated this session, and share our own perspective about directions and priorities for the district to be incorporated in the updated district master plan. I participated in a number of these meetings over my nearly 23 years on the board, but felt that this session was particularly engaging and valuable. Last week, I attended the 4th annual real estate luncheon as a guest of one of my clients. The emphasis this year was supporting veteran services, and was delighted that this group selected among its 10 grant recipients both Saddleback College's Veterans Education and Transition Services and Irvine Valley College's Foundation's Veteran Resource Center. And of course, who did I run into at that? Nancy Montgomery. And I want to just express my gratitude to her as well, and echo all of the sentiments that were mentioned earlier about the great work that Nancy and your group is doing. Finally, I'm continually amazed by the abundance of incredible talent that we have in this district. In that regard, I wanted to offer my personal congratulations to all the folks that we are going to be presenting resolutions to, so I won't mention them again by name, but I also wanted to call out, and it was mentioned in the Chancellor's report, Vice Chancellor Bob Bermucci on his winning idea, the Academic Success Trainer, which I just, and the incredible innovative work that our technology group does here in this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Jay.
On March 6th, Tuesday, I attended the Board of Trustees study session on the Education Master and Strategic Plan in the Chancellor's Conference Room. The MIG consultants went over the documents in detail with us. On March 27th, I attended the County of Orange official swearing in of the Honorable Don Wagner, Supervisor of the 3rd District, at the Championship Soccer Stadium, Orange County's Great Park in Irvine. On Saturday, April 6th, I had the opportunity to see the musical South Pacific in the IVC Performing Arts Center. The acting and the singing were wonderful, and the orchestra was exceptional. Congratulations on a job well done to the cast, musicians, and crew. This was truly an outstanding event. I hope the future holds many more performances of this caliber. On April 8th, Monday, I attended the board policy subcommittee meeting in the Chancellor's Conference Room. On April 11th, Thursday, I attended the State of South Orange County address and dinner at the Laguna Hills Community Center. I was a guest of President Elliott Stearns and sat at his table. After various introductions, recognitions of dignitaries, sponsors, and chambers, the State of South Orange County address was given by Lisa Bartlett, the supervisor of the 5th District of Orange County. I'm once again grateful for the opportunity I have to serve South Orange County as a trustee of the South Orange County Community College District. We are a strong, vibrant community, and our service to the citizens of South Orange County is a credit to the faculty, staff, administration, and students of our district.
Thank you. I too attended a city council meeting on April 2nd to get a recognition, proclamation of Community College Awareness Month. So thanks to the city of Tustin, Dr. Rockmore and I were there to receive this proclamation. So I brought it to give to whoever needs to have this for saving and displaying. It was very nice of them. It was very well presented and a well-attended meeting, mainly because I make my students go to those meetings. But it was very nice. It was very heartfelt, and we did appreciate that. Other than that, I did not attend anything other than the board study session, which was, as Trustee Lang alluded to, very, very informative and very engaging and well appreciated. So with that, we'll move on to the Chancellor's report. Student trustee. Sorry, Huang.
Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, tonight is my last board meeting, and I would just like to start off by saying how extremely grateful I am for this opportunity. I mean, I've met with student leaders all over the state. I've gained experience with legislation. I've traveled to Washington not once but twice, one through APIA and in the future with AUW, and the opportunities I've had are truly irreplaceable, and I'm just so grateful to be given this opportunity. I would be remiss if I didn't mention a few shout-outs, especially to Trustee Prendergast and Trustee Jamal. As board presidents, they've really guided me and been my mentors through this whole process, as well as Trustee Milchiker. I mean, what a role model. I mean, she's just such a ray of light. She's really, really helped me through this process. As well as my two current professors, Professor Meyer as well as Professor McLaughlin. Professor McLaughlin has done the amazing feat of making Supreme Court cases fun in class. And Professor Meyer, as my fellow English enthusiast, it would be an understatement to say that he is one of the best teachers that I've ever had. He started our class, our first day of our Intro to Shakespeare class, not by saying hello, but with the soliloquy from Shakespeare's Henry V. And just recently, he had an entire class without saying a word. He lost his voice and he just completely... He made jokes on the presentation and had a student-led discussion, just an entire engaging, one of the most fun classes without saying a word. It's really nice when class doesn't feel like class with him. And I've always wondered why IBC had the #1 transfer rates, and it's really because we have teachers like Professor Meyer. So thank you. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And for the next trustee, Martha Ureti, I am so excited for her because if she's grown as much, an eighth of what I've grown throughout this whole process, and she's going to come out of this a much stronger woman. So thank you.
All right, now the Chancellor's report.
On April 16th, I attended the Orange County 2020 Vote Center Planning Update hosted by Neil Kelly, the Registrar of Voters. He provided an update about the 2020 launch of vote centers in Orange County, and the Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, also provided an update on statewide efforts for voting reform and the implementation of vote centers. We learned that in 2014, 17.2 million people voted in California. In 2018, that increased to 19.7 million, with a nearly 65% turnout. That's the highest turnout since 1982. The 5 counties that participated in the vote centers in 2018 had record turnout numbers. The Orange County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to implement vote centers beginning in March 2020. 5 new counties will participate in 2020, including Orange, Los Angeles, Mariposa, Fresno, and Santa Clara. One of the big changes is that the poll workers, instead of being volunteers, will now be employees. And they are very interested in our students taking that work, and they will be trained to do so. So it will be paid work. As we get closer to the 2020 rollout date, the Registrar's Office will hold community workshops and can come to the board meetings or campus events when invited. Biggest takeaways from the meeting were that registered voters in Orange County can cast their ballots at any Orange County voter center starting in 2020. Over 180 locations will exist countywide. The vote centers will open their doors 10 days before Election Day, including the weekends, for convenience. All registered voters in Orange County will receive a vote-by-mail ballot, even if the voter prefers to vote in person. They can fill out their mail-in ballot and drop it off at any vote center in person, place it in military-grade drop boxes, or in any U.S. mailbox. Ballots can be returned now without the need to calculate postage or add postage. And finally, voters will be able to track the processing of their ballots through it being recorded, your votes being recorded via a website. So we look forward to all of those changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So much for my student poll worker volunteer credit. Okay. Next we have, moving on, don't see any board requests for reports. We have ASG reports. So we'll start with IVC, I guess, on the end there.
Good evening, trustees and Chancellor Burke. Our ASG,
I'll get back to you.
Our ASG has recently concluded its annual allocations for our budget. We received a record number of requests totaling 109 and $2.2 million. Of course, we're not able to fund all of that, but we were able to fund more towards clubs, as we have a record number of clubs active on campus this year with 35 total. In addition, we're also planning for our ASG and Equity Awareness Day on April 30th. It is a Spring into Action theme, and this offers the campus a way to showcase our ASG committees and equity departments, as well as the resources we provide, and a face-to-face interaction for students to meet those representing them. We are also in contact with OCTA for the College Pass program. This allows students to ride OCTA buses essentially for free with their student ID. We're hoping to get that implemented before the end of the year. And also in spirit of Earth Day, we are adding a community garden to our Student Activity Center. And we are also looking for ways to improve our facilities as we conducted a survey of students using the Student Activity Center, and also looking to increase the amount of purchases for ASIVC access. And we also have finalized our ASG elections for next year. We have Faraz as our next incoming president, and we are also preparing for our end-of-year banquet. And also might add as well, as we're talking about mental health, our ASG has completed a mental health training, receiving a Student Mental Health Ally certification. So essentially they've been trained with both awareness and advocacy for mental health on campus, and something hopefully they'll take with them for the rest of their lives. And thank you.
Thank you. ASG Saddleback.
Good evening, trustees and Chancellor Burke. On April 5th, the Associate Student Government, a few members on our leadership team, attended the Student Senate for California Community Colleges General Assembly up in Sacramento, in which we voted on resolutions with other community colleges relating from making Election Day a recognized holiday in the state, like having the Student Senate working with the state legislature to pass that piece of agenda, and then working on instituting student fees and working on how we can start working as a group of California community colleges across the state to tackle housing insecurities. And also we had a good chance to connect with other colleges in our region because our region has been inactive for about 2 years now. So it was exciting to finally get to meet other colleges from Long Beach City College to other colleges so we can connect and strengthen our region in the Student Senate. We also on May 1st have been coordinating with Letitia, and we are going to be doing an advocacy day up in Sacramento in which we have scheduled meetings with state senators and state legislatures to advocate for SB 291 and other bills that we are going over. We have completed a housing insecurity survey in which we will be having our ASG in the following year, like hopefully about in summer, June or July. Our ASG will be presenting that survey results to the Board of Trustees, and in that survey results, it includes how far students have to commute because of housing costs, how much students pay in rent, if they've had to take less classes because of housing costs. So it's a whole kind of broad thing about how housing insecurities impact students' need and their ability to attend Saddleback College. We also have supported, ASG voted in support of the $1 increase for our student health fee because over the past few years, ASG has been working closely with our health center to break down the stigma that happens with mental health. So with that, we've seen an increase in more students going to the student health center, needing mental health treatment. So we believe that $1 increase will help what we've done so much to break down that stigma of mental health issues. And then also we've received a final quote from the OCTA on how much it would cost to provide bus passes for students, and we're working with them on ways on how we can fund that for the upcoming school year. Thank you.
All right, now back to college presidents.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a couple of things tonight. First, to add my congratulations to Nancy Montgomery and her support of student veterans. It's very commendable. In a past life, I worked with returning veterans from Vietnam, and we don't want to repeat that, and I think Nancy is showing that we're not. Farewell to Evelyn, and I hope your endeavors going forward come true for you. I know I've written a recommendation letter for you. I hope that helps some. Last time I mentioned Carissa Nehart and Sarah Wang as being selected for the 2019 Phi Theta Kappa All-California Academic Team. This is one where Professor Meyer and I went to be a part of that celebration. But also what I want to add tonight is that Sarah was also selected with the 2019 Coca-Cola Academic Gold Scholar, which only 50 students in the entire country receive. And so it was last 2012 that IVC had an occasion like that with one of our other students. So kudos to the students and, of course, their co-advisor, Professor Meyer, on that work. Then finally, as you know, the college is hurting deeply from the loss of a great friend and colleague, Colin McCaughey, and he'll be sorely missed at the college.
All right.
As you all know, Saddleback prides itself on being the institution of lifelong learning, so I'd like to share with you tonight a couple of examples at either end of that lifelong span that were too late-breaking to include in your board report. In terms of the Child Development Center, we were the fortunate recipients of a DOE grant, a Department of Education grant for $114,000 a year, renewable for up to 4 years, that will give access to additional families who will be able to afford child care through our center. And we're really glad to have that and glad to be able to connect to the community in that way. At the emeritus end of that lifelong spectrum, we're very proud that fall enrollment for emeritus hit a new fall record for us at 5,935 heads, and our spring enrollment is over 6,100. So while emeritus is not treated favorably under the new student-centered funding formula, we are as committed to it as you are. We think it's a great way to connect us to our community in the same way that the Child Development Center is. That's all.
Thank you. Okay. Now moving on to discussion item 4.0, we'll start with 4.1, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College student equity plans.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Before we get started, I wanted to give you a little bit of context that I have discussed with my IVC colleagues in the district. I want to provide an update regarding some changes at the state that have actually affected this presentation. Historically, the state has asked colleges to supply data and metrics to the state for equity planning. The state is now provisioning data back to the colleges. So, like the student-centered funding formula, the state is mandating acceptance of its supplied data and metrics. Problematically, with the student equity plan, the state-issued data has had integrity and volatility issues, changes happening as recently as last Friday. Meanwhile, the state is not budging and indicates we must use their supplied metrics. The data issues have escalated to the statewide academic senate, which recognizes the state chancellor's office is understaffed to provision data and metrics for 114 colleges with its very, very small staff. There is a silver lining, though. The state allows for using locally derived metrics to inform decisions. And that's what you'll see today, a focus on our data from our historical successes to plan for the future. However, I just want to note we did have a time crunch because of the changing data, so we did not have the capacity to coordinate an integrated presentation for the colleges today. But on the positive side, we continue to focus on the historical successes of our equity activities to plan a way forward. And with that, we'll go ahead and start our presentations. Starting with Saddleback College. This is our student equity plan update for 2019. So a little bit of history here. Our college has had separate equity plans in the past. We've presented these plans to you in 2014, 2015, and then in the summer of 2016, we took a little pause. And that's because the state came up with a new way of doing the equity plan through an integrated plan. And essentially the thrust behind this is that the state was asking us to weave in other student support services funded areas with student equity. The goal being that we wanted to reduce redundancy and both fiscally and through objectives to make sure that there was really no redundancy occurring. And the other area that the state wanted us to focus on was making sure that equity really underlied the work that we do and that it weaves across different things that we're doing. The goal overall being that we're making progress on moving the needle on student success in an equity-focused manner. So what did we accomplish when we had our integrated plan that came forward in 2017? Well, we hit most of our targets, so that was great. I'm not going to get into the weeds of this as you've all seen this before, but essentially in areas of non-academic barriers, increased access and support, completion of transfer level math and English, increased degrees and transfer, and reducing equity gaps, we hit a lot of our marks. In areas, though, where we did not fully meet our targets, we use this as an opportunity for refinement of tactics, improvement and performance monitoring, and for the creation of our new plan. So now on this next slide, I want to make sure that you understand this is a state-issued provision data. We just got these metrics, okay? And so what we have here are not only state provision metrics as far as you can see on the top of this slide here, access, retention from fall to spring, completion of transfer level math and English, award completion, and transfer to 4-year, as well as there are new state-issued indicators in terms of the categories and subpopulations the colleges are being asked to focus on. Disabled, first generation is actually no longer one of those areas. Again, a last-minute change that the state has made. Foster youth, economically disadvantaged, LGBTQ, veteran, and ethnic groups. When the state provided this data to us, we took the opportunity to look at the metrics and look at our historical trends and focus on the areas that made sense to us. Our theme is focus. Given our budget situation and given the boutique nature of programs, we need institutional focus at our college. And so we have done that. In our equity and disproportionate impact matrix, which I will explain to you what disproportionate impact is, we're focusing on economically disadvantaged students, and Latino or Latinx students. Disproportionate impact is when a segment of the population does not benefit from the same service or opportunity or offerings from the college as would be expected from the population at large. And so we have areas, as I just indicated, economically disadvantaged students and Latino students that are being disproportionately impacted in a significant way. And so along the metrics that the state has provided to us, the highlighted boxes are where we have significant disproportionate impact. Retention from fall to spring, we have to increase that for our economically disadvantaged students, as well as our Hispanic students, Latinx students. In terms of completion of transfer level math and English, you saw a presentation a bit ago on AB 705. Even in the post AB 705 world where we're ramping up students to transfer level math and English, we still continue to have disproportionate impact for our Hispanic Latino students. And then for transfer outs, even though we have a wonderful Class A program, we still have disproportionate impact for our Latino students. And now I will go over just really briefly our new opportunity with the metrics and some of our goals. So we would like to draw your attention to the far right column. These are the kind of increases that we want to see by the year 2022. And without getting into the nitty-gritty of each metric, we really just want you to understand that not only are we taking in mind what it means for us on an annual basis, but we're also weaving in the state chancellor's vision for success goal, reducing the equity gaps by 40% in the areas where we show significant disproportionate impact. In the places where you see the little dashes, it just means that our college doesn't have significant disproportionate impact there. However, these metrics that we've just defined, access, retention, completion of transfer level math and English, award completion, and transfer out, we still have adopted college-wide goals in that area, and we'll go over that real quick too. So what did we do in the past, and was it working? And how did this inform us in terms of moving forward? We have so many examples for you as far as moving the needle on our student equity plan. For example, in terms of increasing access to our students, our outreach team produced 49% Hispanic student inquiries, and the rest of our college that was not touched by outreach was 26% Hispanic college students. In terms of retention and access, by offering college kids zero-cost textbooks, it's associated with a 3% higher retention and success rate. We've seen double digits in the post-AB 705 world, right, in terms of the increase of transfer level math and English in courses. And that's been wonderful, right? As they say, rising tide will lift all boats, except for some of those disproportionately impacted groups. Again, a wonderful area for us to focus on. And then in terms of transfer to 4-year, our Class A program has been wonderful. Even in that program, though, we see our younger Latinx students are not benefiting as much, but our older students, wow, 41% transfer rate versus 27% transfer for the institution. All of this work in terms of realizing the return on our efforts has been made possible from the wonderful work of our researchers, Trong Tran and Jared Lessard. Thank you very much. So to bear the importance of the equity metrics for the college, we have, as I indicated before, gone ahead and adopted the college-wide goals. You'll see that on this chart here. Really what we want to focus on is the far left of the grid, and that's where we want to sit for the next 3 years. In addition, we provided you some reference to annualized goals so you understand what the college means when they're trying to address these various metrics. In addition, on the far right are activities that we've highlighted where we know best practices and research show positive change here. So for us, the next steps include sharing of performance data. Again, institutional focus on Latinx students and economically disadvantaged students on these metrics is really important for us. We've not had one very clear, simple message in terms of student equity. We had a lot of indicators in the past, and this is a great opportunity for us to have institutional focus. The way that we will go ahead and move forward on this plan with this focus is through a new work group, and it's called the SEEP work group, which stands for Student Equity and Achievement Program, very fittingly. And we want to keep in mind the various efforts that we have in terms of planning already. And so all of this is going to take in mind the Vision for Success and various other planning efforts. And as we were saying before, that equity is really underlying the work that we do, and it is underlying the work that we do, whether it's Promise or Guided Pathways and other initiatives. We're really trying to take an equity mindset here. And we're really now talking about a culturally responsive lens in the classroom, so andragogy. And then an ask of all of the different constituent groups for us is to really have this ability to synergize planning across the colleges. So it does feel like planning is happening in different silos. And so we really have this like dream and vision to create this 360 view of planning, just as we're starting to build out some 360 views of students that we'd like to show you at some point, so that everybody really understands where and how how equity is contributing.
Thank you, Jennifer, for setting the context. I will give a very high-level overview of the IVC equity plan. I think overall it can be summarized essentially with this sentence that our goal for 1922 is to decrease equity gaps by 40%. This is in alignment with the Vision for Success goals. The new plan, as Jennifer said, has a little different format than in the past. And first, targets need to be set for the overall college that you see here, and again, those aligned with the Vision for Success. And then also predefined categories from the state. And we've incorporated both kind of our goals as well as our past results in this slide in order to summarize the more detailed report. You see here the green arrows is where IVC has activities in place, and the green arrows with the boxes are where we have activities in place that have shown good results. I'm sure that you are aware it is very difficult to close achievement gaps. To work on achievement gaps is difficult to find ways to help students in a way. So we're very happy that we have found some ways that you see here. And these other check marks don't have boxes around it because either we've implemented them in the fall and we have to wait for the data to come, or as you see, certificates and degrees and transfer, it takes a while for us to find the results until students transfer.
So with that, we wanted to provide you also a snapshot of current activities that are taking place at IVC with an equity lens. I want to first start with our Pride Scholars Program, which services our LGBTQIA+ students. Just to break that down, that's for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, transgender, queer questioning, intersex, asexual, and the plus is all other sexual identities and gender expression. So at IVC, we have a Pride Scholars Program that has a two-pronged approach, which focuses on support, but at the same time advocacy and policy. So when we talk about support, it is very much centered around mental health issues and that are affecting our LGBTQ student population. So as you'll see at the very top, we've serviced over 160 students who identify with this population as of fall 2018. And so as we work through, and we have a designated Pride counselor who provides one-on-one academic, career, personal, and social counseling for our students. To wrap that in as well, we have provided more system-wide changes with providing safe space training for over 95 faculty and staff at IVC. And furthermore, our Pride Scholars Program leads the charge on providing gender-inclusive bathroom maps for students who need to access those resources. If we go down one step below to AESL and ESL, these are programs targeted towards students who are non-traditional age, which means students who are over the age of 25, who we determine to be disproportionately impacted at IVC. And as you can see up here, we've had over 37 writing sections that have embedded supplemental instruction inside of those courses for AESL and ESL and have served over 5,000 unduplicated students, 98% of whom are in that larger or older age group. I'm going to move forward to focusing specifically on our Latinx students. So you'll also see this written as Hispanic. The terminology that we use at IBC is Latinx. And one activity that we'd like to highlight is our Summer Bridge program, which has multiple sections that Equity is currently helping to support fund. But there's also plans that we have passed through to continue to expand Summer Bridge to service a larger cohort of students. Summer Bridge is not only for Latinx students. However, there's targeted recruitment to our local high schools who have high Latino student populations. And our current data demonstrates that the students who participate in Summer Bridge have higher GPA, persistence, and retention rates than comparison groups. So Summer Bridge, we're looking at that critical and transition period from high school to college specifically. I'm now going to jump down to the bottom just to be respectful of time to food insecure and or housing insecure students. So in the fall alone, our Food Resource Center assisted over 350 students who were food insecure. But this isn't just a come in and get the resources and leave. This is a support system that we have in place where we provide students with CalFresh assistance to help them get through their non-academic barriers. Beyond that, we also provide housing referrals in the community and assist them with applications for Medi-Cal and Medicaid. So that just helps to provide a snapshot of what IBC is doing. These two slides are not all encompassing. There's much more equity work, but we just wanted to highlight a few that have shown some promising practices that we're really looking forward to scaling up going forward.
All right. Thank you very much. Do I have any requests to speak, questions for the presenters? Trustee Lang.
I think a little bit on how to frame this. I guess my own perception is it's better to set lofty goals and maybe not always achieve those goals than to set the bar too low and feel good about yourself that you've been able to do that. I detected some disparity in the goal-setting process that occurred between the IBC and the Saddleback plan, and how that also aligned with what the state goals were. And I was hoping that maybe somebody could address that.
So you're referring to the student equity plan goals?
Yes.
Only one of the metrics in our student equity plan goals aligns with the Vision for Success goals, and in that goal, we're actually totally aligned with IVC. As far as the rest of the goals go, we're just carrying forward from our integrated plan, and in our integrated plan goals, we were aligned with IVC. It was our understanding that we were going to be using our integrated plan to go ahead and carry forward those goals. In the process of putting the presentation together, there were various modifications, and that is why you might see a little bit of disparity.
Okay.
And I think, as Jennifer said, it was very challenging for us as researchers with the continued change within the data from the State Chancellor's office. So if, as recent as last Friday, there is changes, all these little changes is very difficult to coordinate within the campus, and that was our focus initially. But Jennifer and I, the counterparts in the equity group, were always in constant communication. And I think moving forward, I think once the data becomes a little bit more stable, there will be much more coordination. But I think, as Jennifer said, the overarching general vision is very much similar across the two colleges. One thing potentially where the numbers are slightly different is the Vision for Success has a metric of percent decrease, whereas the actual equity plan has a percent increase. So the numbers might fluctuate depending on what you look at, but if you look at percent decrease, which the Vision for Success calls out, we're very much in alignment.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll leave it at that.
Trustee Jamal.
Yeah, just so on a related question, do we have district-wide goals in these areas, or are we just for the two colleges?
Because it deals directly with students.
And then, so I guess related to that is we've adopted board goals for the year, which are, I think, your goals, our goals are synonymous, and they include some data points that.
That's for the vision for
Right.
success. And we're going to look at those as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
There is actually a little bit of overlap in the sense that, and I don't know if this was an accident because the board in great foresight saw
I thought there was some overlap.
there was overlap,
Yeah.
yes. The need to address non-academic barriers.
Right.
And that came out from our integrated plan in the past. We have carried that forward and we intend to carry that forward. And we are keeping in mind the board's goals. And we're, as far as activities, we're even collaborating still to this day with ASG. We're still trying to address those goals and we're really trying to move the needle on that. That's one in particular with student equity. That's overlaps.
Just triggered something in my head. So for speaking of non-academic barriers, one of the issues that comes up, and it's come up at league meetings that I've attended, is housing. Do you know how many colleges in the state provide housing for their students? I mean, Coast, I think, is planning to or does, but.
Coast is planning to, Santa Rosa is planning to, but those are in the future. I believe Feather River has dorms. But it's a very rural community. So I think there are maybe about 11 or 12, but we can get you that data.
Okay. Thank you.
So that segues in one of my two questions. One, we had the board goal of getting information on non-academic barriers, and so this is very helpful toward that. I just was, I guess, curious, is this being compiled into one eventual presentation on all of the information on that? Okay, perfect. And then my other question is, so you've referenced it a couple of times about the information coming in at a very late date and rules changing while you're taking steps. Is the date of this presentation dictated to be at this time, or could it have waited a couple of meetings until you got that information, or how can we maybe help solve that problem in the future?
This is a very rare situation where we have only a few board meetings left, and this actual plan is due to this date, June 30th, at the same time the data was changing as recently as last week. And we are not alone. So while we're going through shared governance, literally the slides were outdated. I think we had a pity party amongst us researchers at the state level. And, we're just trying to understand how to deal with it the best we can. The approach that Loris and I took, as well as other researchers across the state, is to look at our own historical data and say, where's the biggest volume, what's consistently occurring, and what makes sense in terms of closing the achievement gaps or equity gaps, because one day one thing came up as an important indicator and the next day it was gone.
And maybe just one addition also that Jennifer mentioned is the underlying data, so the numbers that you will see, it's called the NOVA template that the state has. Those are the ones that change, and sometimes one row falls out and one comes out. So that is a little bit frustrating, but we are very confident in presenting to you today is because our overarching goal doesn't change. Our practices at the college don't change. We know where our focus is. We know where our equity dollars are going. So the equity plan, what actually is happening at the student level, we are here to present to you. The minor details, if it says 1807 or 1806, might change maybe tomorrow, but the overarching goal is very much the same, and we're confident in that.
Great.
This is continuing to happen with some of the data that's coming from the state for the Vision for Success goals as well. And we are, as they say, flying the plane while we're building it. So
Excellent.
The targets change.
Excellent.
So as a former air traffic controller, that flying the plane as we build it doesn't sound very safe to me. But I will say that the law requires that each college submit a plan in June of 2019. The executive board of CSSOs, we did write a letter to the vice chancellor of student services at the chancellor's office and state that many of the colleges who felt they were in this predicament of data changing and templates coming in late might need an extension. What the chancellor's office told us is that they would look at this on a one-on-one basis, and for any school that they would grant an extension, the school would need to go to the board and let the board know why they were requesting an extension. Again, our team decided we were far enough along with our work that we should just go ahead and pursue what we had and present it to you this evening.
All right, thank you. Student Trustee Huang.
Yes, to track back to Trustee Jamal's question about housing, I do know that the Saddleback ASG president, Perry, this is one of his passion projects and one of his primary goals for the year. So if you wanted to cast your insight as to exactly how many schools in the area provide housing for their students, I assume you would know that.
I believe it was 13, and those were all rural colleges, and then with Coast, it is now 14. I believe that's the number. So.
All right, thank you very much. So seeing no more requests to speak, I don't see it on the list. Is it scroll down? Oh. Trustee Witt.
Just a quick question. When you submit this report in June, the non-academic barriers will be listed, correct? Are you? Okay. Because I know you haven't had as much time as you want to work on it, because if your purpose is being changed every day from Sacramento or, yes.
Hi. So last year, I think it was in March or May, the state chancellor's office changed the designations that we could spend equity funding on. And so even though you hadn't necessarily got the data for disproportionately impacted groups, they then saw fit to include undocumented students, LGBTQIA students, and homeless students, because research is going to be hard for those groups of people because they don't automatically report those things. So as soon as that became one of the action items that we could, or one of the groups that we could focus on, we started to do programming on our campus for that purpose. That's why we added the Pride program, the Dream Scholars programs, and then our e-fair and food resource centers to address the issues even before we had the data from the state saying that these groups were disproportionately impacted, because we still knew, as Loris and Jennifer have mentioned, that there's still a need on our campus, regardless of if the state data shows something. We can't always trust the data, which is why I love my research colleagues freaking all out, because yeah, we know this already, though. We know this because students don't want to share information about their sexual orientation, or they may be nervous to say, you know, if they're homeless or not, or without housing. So because we've known that we can do this for the past year, this is exactly what we've been doing on both of our campuses, and we've been working together, Georgina and I, to do district-wide things as well. So our campuses are addressing these issues even if the data wasn't there to support it. So it will continue even if this data fluctuates.
I think I should have been more specific and said housing, because I know that you are, I'd like to have I don't know, is it a race? Would I like to have a contest in the state who does the most? And I think Saddleback would be right up there, and IVC right up there. But my concern is housing, because no one wants to touch it. And having worked with the Homeless Project in Mental Health Association for so long, you can eat anywhere in Orange County. If you plan on getting homeless, you will not go hungry. But you cannot find housing. Thank you.
All right, now seeing no more requests to speak, thank you very much for your presentation. Next we have Basic Aid Allocation Recommendation. Take your laptop, take your iPad with you. Recommendation for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Good evening, everybody. Kim McCord, Executive Director of Fiscal Services. I'll walk you through our annual recommendation for BARC. So just a reminder, BARC is our Basic Aid Recommendation Council that meets in the spring, and they've done all their work. They've reviewed the technology proposals as well as the Capital Improvement Committee proposals for funding for this year, and we are recommending over $93 million, which I think is the largest we've recommended so far. And these are supported by the Chancellor and the Presidents. So we estimate our ending balance to be $28 million. That includes the reserve we set for this year, as well as additional property taxes that came in above our estimates, both for last year and also in the current year. We expect over $81 million in 1920 for basic aid taxes, for a total of almost $110 million.
We put our 20% contingency aside of $16 million, which leaves the $93 million that we've allocated for this year. The first item, of course, we take off the top is our long-term debt and fixed expenses. There's a small piece for our legislative advocacy in that, and the rest is the OPEB obligation for our retiree benefits that you approved last month when you saw the actuarial report and the recommendation to fund those costs. And the other categories, we'll go into more detail on the next slides. So for our capital projects, a large funding for IVC student services renovation. It's starting funding. That's probably not the entire project, but that's what we're funding for this year, $23.8 million, $10 million for their practice fields. The next two are our match for state funding, the IVC Fine Arts, although we don't have that funded yet. That will fully fund the match we think we need, as well as the Gateway, which is in the budget. We hope that'll stay there. And then some signage for ATEP. We know hopefully that will help that facility keep going in their progress, and electrical vehicle charging station for IVC. With our planning and support, some more money for the ATEP site development. We are going to be setting some architectural standards, so we have a consultant to help us set those district-wide. Our IPP and FPP, those are initial plan proposals and final project proposals that we submit to the state for funding, so it's important to have those go every year so we can have future projects funded. And our third and final year for the ATEP site operations that supports their first building. We also have access controls, IVC $2.5 million, and we put $3 million every year towards our ADA transition plan projects. We identified $36 million, so we're putting $3 million every year for 12 years to fund those projects and get them complete. Several scheduled maintenance projects, a big influx for Saddleback plan, $2.2 million for this year. That will be matched by the college. They're also doing a building management system controls, a couple of augmentations for some IVC projects, and we're going to be putting a canopy out at our warehouse to help protect our items before we surplus them. They don't get damaged. Lastly, we have our technology projects. The first category is our student information system, annually for the state compliance changes and the requests from the colleges, and of course our HR finance system. Category B is our district-wide projects. Our network security is a big one this year since we had a recent evaluation of our security system and we had some recommendations to improve it, and other enhancements for the student system, including Smart Schedule and the My Academic Plan. And the last category is the college projects, mostly their desktop refresh, their classroom technology improvement, expanding the wireless programs, and their own network refresh. And the last one is just to have some innovation funds for future technology enhancements. Any questions?
All right, opportunity for a request to speak. Trustee Milchker.
A few questions. Thank you for the presentation. Can you go over a little bit what the IVC Student Service Center renovation will be?
I think IVC could probably answer that more thoroughly, what that project entails.
Linda's gone.
David's coming up.
And while he's asking that, we haven't gotten funding for the IVC Fine Arts Building.
Correct.
I know that because I was up there lobbying for for that up in Sacramento. I know you're not a betting person, but do you have any feelings as to when the latest we can find out if this building will be funded, fully funded?
Anne-Marie could probably answer that. She's on the state committee for that one.
Okay.
So it did not appear in the April letter from the Department of Finance as an additional project. So our only hopes of getting it funded at this point in time is if the Assembly and or the Senate put it in their budget. And so if we can get it in one of those budgets, then at least it would go to the consultation between the houses to discuss, the differences in their budget, and depending upon what happens there is whether or not the governor would keep it in there or not. So the past few years, both the Assembly and the Senate have put in all the projects, and it has gone to the conference, what they call the Big Five conference between the Senate and the Assembly and the governor but yet the governor has not included all the projects in the past couple of years. It's a new governor this year. We are lobbying hard, so we really don't know what's going to happen. We should know mid-June whether or not that project makes it in there or not, but I'm not real hopeful based upon what's happened in the past.
Okay, would it be helpful if we have a contingent of people talk to our local assembly and senate people?
Yes, we definitely need to keep up
We'll
the
keep
pressure.
that. We'll keep that doing.
Yes.
Keep working on that.
Yes, and we
Okay,
are
great.
still
Excellent.
doing that. I know I was just speaking with Letitia last week, and so it is something that we're going to continue to advocate for until we can no longer advocate in this year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good.
All right.
We'll work with you on that, okay?
Trustee
As
Jamal.
far as,
David, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
as far as the SSC renovation at Irvine Valley College, this project is a part of our Education and Facilities Master Plan. And as the state pours into student support services statewide, some of the programs within SSC have outgrown their spaces. So this project would allow us to optimize the space, renovate the building. There's a much needed renovation to the atrium, which is the roof of the SSC. The plan is to, this would be a partial funding, so the plan is to use the 1920 fiscal year to form a work group and come up with a plan, engage an architect, and from that point forward, we will now have a better concrete plan moving forward for that building.
Okay, so you'll keep us informed on what you'll be doing for that building. Great. Student service buildings are important for students. I remember when we got those funded and built them the first time, so thanks. I have another question. You didn't mention the ATES building. Where does that stand? You know, the new ATES building project that we're talking about building at Saddleback College?
I believe it's funded. I think Anne-Marie's gonna.
The ATES building at Saddleback College.
Yes, so that is in design right now, the new ATES building. We have, we're at about the 50%, what we call construction documents portion of that. So that is continuing to move forward. Once we get to 100% construction documents, then those will go to DSA. You know, first we will build and construct the tennis court facility, and then the building will follow shortly after that.
Okay,
But we're
good.
still,
That's helpful.
It is fully funded though, so that you didn't see it tonight because there's no
Yeah,
additional
'cause
funding
it's fully
needed at
funded
this time.
on last year's
correct.
funding. Okay, thanks.
Correct.
And then I did notice, and maybe this is the same thing, that you have the Saddleback College access controls, and I think those are the door accesses for all the buildings for safety purposes. What about IVC? I know they're moving forward with that too. Was that funded last year?
It was funded last year, and there is another small piece this year to finish that off. So they are both moving forward to where they'll, both campuses will have access controls on all their doors.
That's a safety thing, so that'll be good for both colleges. Thank you.
Trustee Jamal.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I noticed that there are 3 committees involved with this process, and thank you, the Chancellor, today for helping me identify who's doing what. We have the CIC, the DTC, and the BARC. So is the BARC kind of the umbrella committee, and then the CIC and the DTC feed into that, or what's the interrelationship between these 3 committees?
Yes, we have DTC as the District Technology Committee, and that is the committee that looks at and determines what the technology requests are going to be. CIC is the Capital Improvement Committee, and that committee looks at the capital construction items and the requests for those. Both of the requests from DTC and CIC go up to BARC, so BARC is the umbrella committee. BARC is the Basic Aid Allocation Recommendation Committee. So they look at the requests coming from both committees. We look at and evaluate how much funding we have, and then we make the final determination for the recommendations to move forward to the board in BARC. And so that's what you see tonight is the culmination of both of the committees as well as BARC putting forth a recommendation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Trustee Witt.
Marcia asked you about the ATAS building. Is it still on 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no more requests to speak. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll move on to 5.0, consent calendar items. I'm going to go ahead and pull 5.2. Are there any other polls?
Yes.
Trustee Jamal.
5.4 and 5.9.
Seeing no more requests for polls, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion for the balance of the consent calendar. Motion from Trustee Jay, second from Trustee Lang. Seeing no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. You have a unanimous trustee yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. So we'll go ahead and do 5.4, Trustee Jamal.
Okay, so I think this is an item, probably I'm not the only one going to bring this up. So under Saddleback College, my understanding is that we have reached out to an author, Tara Westover, who's the author of a book called Educated, a Memoir. By the way, my wife just finished reading it, so I'm familiar with the book, and I intend to read it next. But I had concerns over this item. I noticed that there was a speaking fee of $15,000 for a 2-hour lecture or talk. That amounts to $7,500 an hour, and for a local community college that's publicly funded. That really stood out to me. And so I guess I want to understand the reasoning behind this, and I understand the date is incorrect. We're talking about a year from next week. It's not 2019.
It's 2020.
2020. And really with an explanation of, if we're talking about that kind of fee, then what kind of benefit is there to the community? Are we inviting the community in? Are we offering books to them as a part of this honorarium? And if you could respond to that.
Absolutely. So at this point, One Book, One College is mostly a college event. There has been some discussion about reaching out to the community. We are faced with a capacity issue. There's, a 400-seat capacity in McKinney Hall. So to the extent that in the future we want to include the community in the book and the author's appearance, we would need to find another venue. And very recently we were just talking about whether or not we might use the gymnasium, for instance, next year to bring in the community. But I want to address the concern. I share it, Trustee Jamal. The optics aren't great, and we don't like that, an author is commanding such a fee. I will tell you that her starting fee, according to her agent, was $25,000, and it was negotiated down to $15,000 for us. So why do we think $15,000 is a good return on investment? At this point, we are going through a budget urgency, if you will, and these are difficult times for folks on our campus as we freeze positions and leave many people to do the work that has not been picked up by positions close to them that have been frozen. And at that point, community building becomes far more important than on the day-to-day. So we think these expenditures from time to time for a lunch that honors our classified employees, for a community building event like One Book, One College, we think that's actually money well spent, provided it's not something we're doing frequently. So I can only tell you that we are looking very carefully in future years and having those discussions earlier on as we select finalist books to make sure that the fee will be more reasonable.
Can I ask a couple more questions? Has this agreement been signed with her?
So no, we need your permission before we can do that. And I will share with you a couple things. Even if you are so kind as to allow us to enter into this agreement, the agreement may still fall apart because another issue that her agent is raising is a required purchase of 5,000 books without yet committing to the price on the books, which we find to be an unacceptable term. So that's still being negotiated. And if I may add one more thing, Trustee Jamal, that is that we also want to engage ASG in a discussion to see if they would be willing to co-sponsor the event to offset part of the process, but we've not been able to do that and won't be able to do that in their cycle until summer. So we have to come to you first, and that would mean that the college has to guarantee that $15,000 payment.
Yeah, so as a household that's purchased one of her books already, I'm appreciative of the work. I think it sounds like it's amazing, but I can't support you on this one. So I'm not going to support this when it comes up for a vote.
I understand.
Thank you.
Can you separate it?
Well, I think Dave wants to speak.
Okay. Trustee Witt.
Can I make a suggestion? Having done a project, a lecture in the gymnasium, it's not the greatest, but it doesn't matter if you're coming to see someone that you really want to listen to. You just need a room. And 400 to 2,000 capacity in the gym is huge, and I think that could offset a lot of the expenses, if you thought of that. Would you be willing to go to the gym?
We are. It is under consideration.
Okay.
All right, so then now that creates a new question that I didn't have already.
Trustee Jamal, forgive me. Vice Chancellor Gable tells me that the agreement has been signed. It has not yet been approved or transmitted, but it has been signed, but it is subject to your approval.
So are we looking to charge for this event for people to come?
No, we are not, President Prendergast.
Okay, so then I guess it doesn't matter whether you're having it in a 400 or 2,000. If you're not charging, it doesn't benefit you anything more than other than more exposure and communication. Okay. So then I guess, not to put you on the spot, you mentioned that we feel it's a return on an investment that's worth it. I'm just kind of curious who the we is involved in that.
So this is the selection of a book and the selection of how we will create community around the book is very much part of our participatory governance structure. So there is a committee that chooses the book each year. They had that down to 2 books earlier in the year when I came on, and we're starting to talk to those 2 authors before we had an opportunity to share with everybody our budget situation. So those discussions were well underway. And I felt the need to honor the decision of that committee and Consultation Council, which backed it, and we will do our best to cover that cost.
Okay. Trustee Melchiker.
Yeah, I just have a few questions. So the committee approved of the cost for this particular, to spend this money? First of all, did you actually select, is this the book that's selected for the One Book, One College for next year? Because it looked to me when I was reading the agenda that it's still being discussed.
Well, it is the selected book for next year, which is why they entered into negotiations. Okay. But obviously, those negotiations need to come to fruition if the book actually does go forward.
Okay, and then I don't recall how much are we paying for the author of Beautiful Boy that's coming May 1st, and the other authors of the other very popular books that have been used in One Book, One College in the past. I was going to go on with my, when I talked in my board report, how I thought it was valuable that the whole college comes together and discusses one book in many, many different venues during the semester. But do you have any idea about how much we've paid for Beautiful Boy author or the other authors that we've?
I do, unless my associates correct me. I believe that was $10,000 plus travel costs. And I do want to say one more thing, Trustee Milchiker. Yeah. There is an overall budget for One Book, One College that is far greater than the speaker fee. We give out free books, and we also pay small stipends for faculty to integrate the book into their curriculum, their lesson plans for that particular quarter. And this is very successful in bringing more of the college community into the book. For this coming year, even though the speaker fee is going up by 50%, we are cutting the cost under our general fund for this overall event of One Book, One College by 50%. So that means we'll have fewer free books. It means that we won't be able to offer stipends to many faculty.
Okay, so but you feel that that it's worth it, and you feel that it's, and the college feels it's worth it, and the academic senate that has probably sponsored One Book, One College feels it's worth it to spend this particular fee for attracting this author. I know that we've discussed in the past, all of us are in many book clubs, having our book clubs join in One Book, One College. I don't know if this is considered for the next year or not, but that would certainly bring a lot more people in the community into this and bring a lot more people to Saddleback College. And, I really like the idea of people in the community feeling that Saddleback College or Irvine Valley College is their college in their community, and they're a part of it, and that they want to support their college. So if we need to try this, I think I'm willing to go along with it. Okay? I am willing to go along with it. Okay.
All right, Trustee Witt.
I do believe that if you charge $10 and you think you can get 2,000 seats, I got 2,500 people to come at $5 a piece, and more, banging on the door wanting to get in. So I think that can offset your cost immensely. That I know we need more security, et cetera. That's part of our absorption there, but I do believe you can do it. And if what Trustee Jamal said, that if his family enjoyed the book that much and it becomes very popular, then I don't see a problem in putting it in the gym and getting, an extra thousands of dollars to pay her bill. That would be great for me to vote yes on.
And I would gladly take that back to my college and ask them to consider charging and expanding the venue.
And also whoever's ahead of this program to contact all these book clubs. Boy, can you imagine all the people that would come just for that? Little book signing. I don't know about buying the book. I think we could negotiate a price for that.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm asking that she'll do it. We're a community college. The person I got was one of the most famous people in holistic health at the time.
$7,500 an hour.
So I'm told there is a little bargain here. The book signing is included in her fee.
Okay.
See?
Gosh, it's not stated. No lucky guess. All right, Trustee Lang.
Yes, I had a little different take on it, and that would be any reason why we might not engage perhaps the foundation to get involved with this, and maybe find somebody that would be willing to sponsor and underwrite the speaker and get some name recognition out of it.
We certainly have raised that issue with the foundation. Our foundation leadership tells me, and I depend to some extent, Trustee Lang, on their expertise, that it's a hard sell to ask donors to contribute to community building events. They much prefer scholarships. It's a difficult thing to do. But when we cut the budget by 50% contribution of our general fund for next year, one of the things that we decided to do was we would go to the foundation and other sources for the free books that we offer. So we are trying to work other sources for the money, but the bottom line is, at the end of the day, if we go forward with that contract for the author, we have to be behind it with our general fund.
Yeah, Trustee Lang, if I can, I totally agree with you. My first thought when I saw this was I thought we had a sponsor, and then I checked with the Chancellor and I heard it was general fund.
Yeah, it seems to me it'd be a great opportunity for somebody that really believed in this and wanted to step up and support it.
All right, I don't see any more requests to speak.
And I'd like to offer a motion to divide the question.
Okay.
I'd like to separate out the item regarding the general fund honorarium and travel fees for the author, Tara Westover, in her book. I'd like to divide that and then move the balance of the items and vote separately on.
Do I have a second to dividing the motion? Okay. Do I have anybody wishing to speak for or against the motion to divide? Give you an opportunity to set that up. Okay, so we are voting on dividing the question. Okay, we have 5 yes votes, 1 no vote, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisor yes vote to divide the question. So now on the floor, we have the main agenda item of 5.4 with all items except the One Book, One College author visit. I have a motion from trustee Lang and a second from trustee Jay to vote on 5.4 as divided. Seeing no requests to speak, go ahead and vote. Wait.
Okay, having done this before on a large scale, what I did to save money is I provided the lodging and.
Wait. We're not discussing we're not discussing the new.
We're not discussing
We're just
that.
we're voting on the balance. We'll come back to,
Got
we'll
it.
come back to that item next. Now, what we voted on was to divide the question. So now we're voting on the balance.
Everything.
So can I withdraw these speaker names?
I know that. It's not up yet, though.
I know. I haven't asked for it yet. I want to get all the speaker names off so I can make sure that I'm not missing anybody. Can I just take those off myself? Okay. So now it looks like we have no more new requests to speak. We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote and 1 trustee absent and a student advisor yes vote. Now on the floor we have 5.4B. We'll call it that. So do I have a motion and a second to pass 5.4? You're moving to pass it?
Make a motion to approve that one.
Yeah, you should explain what we're voting on now.
But you made the motion to approve the item that you divided out?
Yeah, you shouldn't vote to
Yeah, I
approve
don't
it.
think you meant to do that.
Yeah, because then you.
Yeah.
Oh, right, this is to.
This is a motion to approve
Got it.
the
Okay.
honorarium for the
You're right.
One Book, One
Approved.
Author
I thought
that
we
you
were
divided
voting
out.
Got it. Yeah, you're right.
So I have a motion from trustee Milchiker and a second from trustee Lang.
Right.
Now, any more discussion, requests to speak on this particular item?
That's what I thought.
No, you can't really do that.
To wait for the second part, right? Or this one?
You're on it. No,
Hello, how many fingers do I have up? Okay, so in order to make this happen, what we can do is we make all the arrangements for this person. And just say those arrangements will be made. I guarantee you I can make those under $500 or $1,000. Because it's a bit of an insult if I come to speak and you don't give me transportation or lodging, or just say everything on this side of California is going to be taken care of, and you can take what plane you want. I don't know. There's different ways we can do this. We can be agreeable to this, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, because I don't want to insult the person. But what I want is the community here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to be putting money backing our community. You get 2,000 people in that gym, and a lot of those are going to be the community. You advertise that at Leisure World, and you're going to have buses coming here. And I really think you can do that. But sometimes you have to spend money to make money. And I do not think a $10 donation at the door, it doesn't say it's required. You're asking a $10 donation at the door. Some people throw 100 in. So we can be different about this. I don't know if the speaker would like that. I don't know the speaker.
I will commit to you that everything you've suggested we will take seriously and try to make some traction with. I will say that on trying to substitute travel arrangements, it is very difficult in working with someone of this stature to suggest that they should stay at our house, for instance.
I did.
I appreciate that. We're working with an agent, and it's like working with a celebrity or a star athlete. The agent specifies the terms, and we don't get a lot of leeway.
I think if you offered it already, that she's staying like the Hills, that's not a bad hotel. It's very nice. Doesn't have to be the Marriott at the airport, but.
They stay right next door to the hotel, right next to the college. I mean, we do drive them to and from the.
Oh, the Hampton? Yeah, and make it attractive, especially for distance to them. They'll want to stay there. So if you do that and say it's included, we save another $2,500.
Just to clarify, the motion is to approve what's in the agenda. So these are suggestions, and what I've heard the president say is he will take them back. But what's before you as a board to
I know.
consider is $18,000 to bring Tara Westover to Saddleback College.
Then do I have to make a motion to entertain the cost of her travels, et cetera?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you could make suggestions on the side after the meeting.
Okay.
Trustee Lang.
I am very sensitive to Trustee Jamal's concerns about this. I have the same concerns. I do intend to support the president on this because I think it's important that you be able to live up to the agreements that you've negotiated with others and so forth. And I think there's a lot of time between now and when the event is going to occur. So I'm confident that maybe we can come up with some creative ways to perhaps help underwrite more of the cost of this. And on that basis, I intend to vote for this.
I'm remembering back to when we had the discussion with the book regarding the genome project and how we agreed to what we thought was a pretty lofty honorarium at that time, I believe, of $10,000. And the reasoning that some of us, I know myself, supported was having read the book and know the family history, that they didn't get a dime out of any of that research done on their grandmother, and so it was kind of like a heartwarming thing. I don't know anything about this author, if they're as destitute as that family was, but it would be interesting to kind of hear what the need is for that kind of money, if that's possible, or if we know.
She has an agent.
If that's not a rhetorical question,
Yeah.
President Prendergast, I don't believe that she's in need at this point. She has had a best-selling book. Likewise, I must say, I assume you're referring to the Henrietta Lacks book. Yes. The estate has done fairly well over the years because of the sale of the book. So I don't think these situations are quite as dissimilar as you might think. But I won't pretend for a moment that this woman's history of growing up in rather austere circumstances in any way is a justification for the high fee today. I won't make that argument to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no more requests to speak, I guess we'll go ahead and vote on the item. We have 4 yes votes, 2 no votes, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory no vote. So it does carry. All right, next we have 5.9 pulled by trustee Jamal as well.
This will be quick. I'm not going to delay moving ahead. There are a number of typos and grammatical errors that I can just send to the Chancellor after this meeting that will not change the substance. So I just wanted to note that.
And I spent a lengthy amount of time today going through all of those.
That's it.
Okay. Simple. I need a motion and a second for this item. A motion from trustee Jamal, and a second from trustee Jay. Do I have any requests to speak? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Carries unanimously, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. Okay, with that, we're now on 5.2. I pulled this because it's a number of resolutions. We have 12 resolutions to approve, so in the interest of the time, I'm going to provide some brief words on each of these noteworthy recognitions. 1 through 6, we have Associate Professor, Professor, and Emeritus Professors of the Year. Congratulations to our faculty of the year who have exemplified the difference teachers make in students' lives. We recognize and deeply appreciate your commitment to your area of expertise and your dedication to the success of our students. The honorees will accept their board resolution and will be recognized for their achievement at their respective college campuses. So we're signing those and having those sent on. We have Saddleback College Professor of the Year, Dr. Mike Hogat. Saddleback College Associate Professor of the Year, Rafaela Baker. Saddleback College Emeritus Professor of the Year, Fleur Fong. Irvine Valley College Professor of the Year, Benjamin Meese. Irvine Valley College Associate Professor of the Year, Mohammed Youssef. Irvine Valley College Emeritus Professor of the Year, Ida Stewart. We also have a recognition of Classified School Employee Week. We applaud our classified employees for their contributions they make throughout the district. Classified employees make the difference, and we appreciate your commitment and service to students. Our student legislature also recognizes the classified school employees and named the third full week of May Classified School Employee Week. This year, Classified Employees Week will be celebrated May 19th through the 25th. Do we have someone to accept that resolution, or are we doing that one at their colleges as well? Okay. We also then have Community College Awareness Month, as we received proclamations from various cities and county. We also have issued our own resolution. The California Legislature deemed April Community College Awareness Month, and we have joined in the awareness effort by promoting the impact and contributions of our colleges. We're extremely proud of Irvine Valley College and Saddleback College students, faculty, and staff. Special recognition this month allows us to share with the community compelling student stories, dynamic programs, and opportunities to partner within our district. We appreciate the recognition throughout the county this month, but particularly the cities of Irvine, Tustin, Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, Mission Viejo, Aliso Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita, and Orange County Board of Supervisors. Next, we have Denim Day, Sexual Assault Awareness Day. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and both Irvine Valley College and Saddleback engage in a number of activities to bring awareness to the very important topic of rape and sexual violence. As many of us are dressed in denim today, this resolution officially recognizes the 20th anniversary of Denim Day, which calls attention to the misconceptions and misinformation about sexual assault in our society. The Department of Justice reported this last year, 35 out of every 1,000 women who attend college or university experience an attempted or completed rape during each school year. We have to take a stance as a community college district, and I am proud to bring attention to this worthy effort. And we also receive pins. There is no excuse and never an invitation to rape. So we have those as well. Next, we have a resolution on the Armenian Genocide Day of Remembrance. April 24th, which is coming up, is deemed the Day of Remembrance to bring attention to the tragic history of the Armenian Genocide, a systematic destruction of a culture. This year marks the 100th commemorative anniversary of this devastating period, between 1915 to 1923. We must continue to remember this time in history to prevent all such events in the future. We encourage all employees and students to commemorate this historic tragedy.
Mr. President, can I just say a few words?
Certainly.
As a descendant myself of Armenian genocide survivors and actually relatives who did not survive, I really appreciate the district taking up this resolution today. It was on April 24th in 1915 when hundreds of Armenian intellectuals, including faculty like yourselves, were taken into the interior of Turkey and summarily executed. And so that began what is now known as the Armenian Genocide, where the resolution states that 1.5 million Armenians were brutally murdered, and murders bad, but in the most gruesome manner, marched to their deaths to the Syrian deserts. And still to this day, though many countries recognize what happened, the United States does not at the executive branch level, and Turkey itself continues a campaign of denial. And it was on the eve of the invasion of Poland in 1939 when Hitler infamously said, quote, "Who today remembers the annihilation of the Armenians?" end quote. And that, unfortunately, the recipe for what happened to the Armenians happened also to the Jews as a result of the murderous campaign of Nazi Germany. So I thank the district, and Mr. President, thank you for bringing this up, and I appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you. We also then have a resolution on today. April 22nd is also known around the world as Earth Day. It's an official countdown to the 50th anniversary of Earth Day to be celebrated in 2020 as we work diligently to increase sustainability, conversion efforts, and recycling throughout the district. It is important to give recognition to Earth Day and encourage students, faculty, and staff to engage in activities that promote a healthy environment and sustainable lifestyle. And last, but certainly not least, we have a resolution to Student Trustee Evelyn Huang's year of service. Student Trustee Huang, we truly appreciate your dedication and commitment to the position of Student Trustee, to whom much is given, much is required. As difficult as the role could be, you always maintain great poise and professionalism, making the job look effortless. Your perspective provided great insight to the board, and your thoughtful, well-researched, and articulate comments were valuable in the discussion-making processes. In addition to the resolution, we'd like to honor you with a commemorative plaque. Thank you for your dedicated service, and best of luck in your future educational, personal, and in professional endeavors. Please come forward. Want the rest of the board and the chancellor on that, or? Sure.
Okay, yeah.
We do that?
Should I put my shoes back on? We all have jeans on. This is very interesting. This is denim day.
Show off your denim.
I know. First time I've ever worn denim to a board meeting. Thank you.
Congratulations.
That was well said. Thank you.
Here's the box. I guess do we need to formally vote on the resolution? So you might be getting that back if we say no, but.
I'm going to divide the question.
Trustee Lang, is this from the past motion?
No.
Okay.
To just have personal privilege to say I'm going to miss my seatmate here on the board. I think Evelyn has been really one of the best student trustees that we've had. Certainly one of the most articulate student trustees that we've had during my tenure on the board, and we'll miss you.
Thank you.
I agree 100%.
Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and vote on the resolutions. Unanimous yes vote, a trustee absent, and a yes vote from the student who wants to keep her plaque. All right. So with that, we will move on to 6.1. Pull this up here. Basic Aid Allocation Recommendation Fiscal Year 2019-20 that we got the presentation on. I have a motion from Trustee Jamal, second from Trustee Jay. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.2, 2020-21 academic calendar. Motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Milchker. Just so, for sake of consistency, since Trustee Wright isn't here, he actually approved of this one, so you're good to go.
How do you know that?
You said it on the phone. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. We have a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.3, Irvine Valley College B200 Physical Sciences Project Award of Bid number 343, Blackstone Builders. A motion from trustee Jay, second from trustee Witt. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on this item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.4, Irvine Valley College Accessibility Upgrades, Phase 1 Project. Trustee Jay motion. Trustee Lang second. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on this item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.5, Irvine Valley College Grant Award, NSF Advanced Technological Education. Trustee Jay motion, trustee Lang second. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. A unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. 6.6, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College student health fee increase. We have a motion from trustee Jay, second from trustee Witt, and a request to speak from trustee Lang.
Yes, I just thought I'd try and get some clarification as to the incoming Saddleback president's concerns about the $1 fee increase and the budget associated with these services. Can somebody maybe address?
That's IBC.
Oh, it was, pardon me, okay.
So just to explain, I did present to the student body government, and they had numerous questions. We asked, they essentially asked us what the money would be used for if you have any type of extra income coming in from that dollar, and it's a $3 a year essentially. And I told them that, I tried to explain to them that there was a mental health grant that Saddleback and IBC do share at this point. Once that is over in 2020, then those funds will help pay for that extra mental health provider that we have on staff now that's a 20-hour a week. So I don't believe that, I think most of them got that, and then what I did was I also put it in writing, and I put the line item budget, what the actual cost was, what the benefits were, so that they could actually understand that. So I just think there was a little bit lack of knowledge in that area with the budgets. So we explained it in detail. Matt Rossborough, the current president, understood fully, so we got a positive outcome on that.
Right, I heard here that there was support
Right.
For it. But there seemed to be some misunderstanding in terms of where the funding was going to go, and I wasn't real clear in terms of that loss of funding and when that might kick in, and whether it was within the period of time that you were asking for this increase. Sounds like it was.
Yes, and this increase really doesn't start until fall, so we're not even looking at the increase starting till right when we'll get it in our hands, right when the grant is over. So it really works out primary in funding that.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Fall of 2020? Or 19?
No, I'm sorry, it starts in fall of 19, but we don't, our grant stops in the July of 2020 is the end of our grant. So it will help us cover those fees once our grant kind of cuts off.
Okay, student trustee Huang.
Yeah, one quick question. The agenda states that the reason for the increase would be the price of goods are rising as well as the needs of the students are increasing. And I was wondering, because you won't be getting the grant anymore, that if the prices for the goods and the needs of the students continue to rise, it's $1 this year, but will it continue to increase the following years?
It's only increased by the economic indicator through the state. So the state budgeting office for the Department of State Fiscal Services actually coordinates that and says, hey, the increase is due because things are going up, costs are rising, so they allow us to get that. So that's what they utilize it from. So when any type of cost like that happen, I think it's such a small increase. We'll be looking for other revenues, other resources, I think that it will work out. I think we'll be in good shape by then.
All right, my second question, as I was saying before, like the needs of students are increasing. So because I know you're offsetting the money that you wouldn't get from the grant, but because there's an increase of student need, I know you're saying before, like there's an additional mental health provider, but is that the student need that's going to be supplemented by the $1 increase?
That's the need that we have current right now. We're dealing with 150 a week, sometimes 2. We have mental health crisis every day. Jeannie said today she had 3. The point is that we're overwhelmed with mental health needs on every campus, and we've done such a widespread educational outreach that now they're all coming in because they're feeling good about it. We're decreasing that stigma, which is wonderful, but we're actually a little bit overwhelmed. Our plan is actually, Saddleback does it right now where they work with interns, psychological interns. That is our plan to convert over to that within the next year and start bringing those on too so that we can help this overwhelming demand that we're getting here. It's a positive thing that they're coming in. We're removing that stigma, but it is overwhelming a lot of times not having enough providers. And I'll be honest with you, the state, the county, nobody has enough providers, especially the VA. So we're all facing the same dilemma. We're just trying to get a grip on it and handle it.
All right, thank you so much. And
But I think what they're trying to say is this dollar will allow them to continue the existing services. It's not going to fund additional. But without the dollar, you'd lose the current services.
Yes, thank you.
But she's right. The way the agenda item is written, it makes it sound like it's covering something new.
Thank you.
She's spot on with that assessment. Which is why we gave her a plaque. Okay, Trustee Milchiker.
Yeah, thank you again. I just wondered, in attending the roundtable of One Book, One College, where they talked about the student addiction, and so many students are addicted to drugs, which is a terrible scourge across the country right now. I know we need this mental health protection, so I think it's important. I just wondered, what are most community colleges charging for their student health fees? What is the general fee? That's number one. And what about students that are with what they used to be called BOG waivers, which might be, I think, called the promise waivers now, where they don't have to pay any tuition? A huge percentage of our students, like 44%, have these. Do they have to pay student health fees as well, or are those covered in their in the fees that they are forgiven when they come to the community college? Thank you.
If I can address a few of the questions that have been raised tonight, just to let you know a little bit about, I have 2 roles here. So tonight I'm going to wear the role of the president of California Community Colleges Health Services Association, so I can represent all of the colleges across our state. The health fee varies. It goes from $7. Some colleges don't charge any, but they go from $7 to $20. The fees increased upon the Chancellor's office, as Nancy had mentioned. This is the first increase in the last 8 years for Saddleback and IVC. We had one in 2013, one in 2015, and this one in 2019, 15-16. So it's $1 at a time. We saw over 12,000 students at Saddleback Student Health Center last year. 3,900 of them were mental health cases. That $20 covers the fee for students that are uninsured or not able to access mental health coverage in our county. Orange County has the lowest mental health beds in the state. We have 10 mental health beds for indigent service. LA County, our sister county, has huge numbers. So when I look at this health fee, we provide access to those who don't have access. We have a psychiatrist, we have psychologists, and we have 7 interns. Right now, we're 3 weeks out on appointments, and we're providing medications for students who could not be successful without these services. So I asked for this dollar increase really to make the needs for our students to be successful. The cost of medications alone over the last 5 years has rose 38%. If you look at drug costs within our county, any one of you go to and get drugs at a drugstore, your copays have gone up. These students don't have to have copays to come and see us. So I can provide documentation or any information to any of you if you'd like for addressing the non-academic barriers within our colleges.
Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Jamal.
Wait, Jeannie, stay up there. Your presence prompted me to ask this question. So what if we are successful in getting some changes to the Medi-Cal reimbursements to our student health centers?
Thanks for asking the question.
All right. So how would that, if that happens, how would that impact what we charge, and how would that impact us otherwise?
Well, currently, Saddleback College was the first college in the nation to be approved as a Medi-Cal provider. This happened 2 years ago. I have been working very closely with the LEA, local education agencies, at the state level, providing changes to our state plan amendment to allow all community colleges to be able to apply and receive Medi-Cal funding. What that will do is the LEA only provides for certain services. Unfortunately, it's not a full Medi-Cal license, meaning we couldn't do all the services that Medi-Cal does. But what LEA does is it allows us to care for the students that do not have access for certain medical and psychological services. So we are very close to a state plan amendment coming forward. We have 2 bills on the table right now, AB 1524, which is what we're trying to pass currently in order to have Medi-Cal applications approved within 30 days. And our other bill that's on is the LEA state plan amendment for June 30th, July 1st. We're hoping that it's approved in order to provide the LEA funding and take out some of the restrictions for community colleges, because when Senate Bill 276 passed through the governor's office in October of 2015, it just allowed community colleges to be able to bill LEA Medi-Cal, and so the language was for credentialed school nurses, which colleges don't hire, so we had to have language state plan amendment passed through Medicare and Medi-Cal, which has taken us 3 years to get through, but we're close to that. So those are all of the opportunities for Medi-Cal. It would only be till students are 21 years of age, so it doesn't cover all of our students because there is some restriction, but it will add additional funding resources for the health centers.
Okay, seeing no
Well,
more.
I just have one more question. So when we provide the medication to these students, we must have a physician that prescribes the medication.
We
Is
have
that
a
correct?
physician 5 days a week.
Okay,
We
great.
have a psychiatrist 2 days a month. We have 3 clinical psychologists. We have 7 intern therapists, and next year we'll have 11. We partner with 6 different schools, postdoctorate schools of psychology, and those are interns where they do their clinical hours under the direct supervision of a clinical psychologist.
Okay, excellent. But I know the physicians have to be the ones that prescribe the medication, not the psychologists. So I know they deal with the patients.
The psychiatrists and the physicians, absolutely.
Psychiatrists and the physicians. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, seeing no more requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to move to extend the meeting to 9:30 p.m.
I have a motion from trustee Jamal and a second from trustee Lang to extend the meeting to 9:30 if needed. Doesn't mean we have to.
Up to, until.
Here we go. Go ahead and vote on the item. This is the extension of the meeting. It does still say 6.6, but I took it to mean that we were voting on the motion to extend. She changed the text to reflect what we were voting on. You have a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. Now, 6.7, authorized purchase of Nutanix hardware and software installation maintenance and software maintenance. I have a motion from trustee Lang, a second from trustee Jay. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.8, authorization to utilize Foundation for California Community Colleges and Trustees of California State University contracts. I have a motion from trustee Jay, a second from trustee Lang. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.9, board policy revision. These are for approval. They were review and study last month. Not getting enough steps in? What?
Yeah, I'm not getting enough steps. Today's Earth Day. We have
Trustee,
extra steps required.
I have a motion from trustee Jamal and a second from trustee Jay. Request to speak from trustee Lang.
Yes, I'd like to make a further motion on this to divide the question. Divide the question and separate out Board Policy 1500.
Which one is that?
Naming of college facilities.
Okay, so we have a motion to divide the question. Do I have a second for that motion? I guess we have to wait until she puts it up. Okay. Okay, we have a motion to divide from trustee Lang, a second from trustee Jamal. Would you like to speak to the reason
I
you
would.
want to? Yeah.
Yes. Again, I felt this way the last time when we talked about this for review and study. I still feel that the board policy is too prescriptive, particularly when it comes to the dollar figures that we had for various parts of buildings and all kinds of other things, which I think are better left to administrative regulations than to board policy, which I think ought to be broader in scope. And for that reason, I intend to vote against this board policy.
Would it be, well, I guess we can discuss it after we've divided, but, okay. So with that, we have a motion to divide. So we'll go ahead and vote on the motion to divide.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
I have a problem to divide, but I understand why we want to do it. If I approve this now and our discussion leads us to believe that we shouldn't divide.
Then vote for the vote for it.
So
Okay,
all the motion to divide is doing is separating out that one board policy.
You're not voting
which
yes or
still
no on
allows
the
you to
policy. You're just
to
voting,
vote for or
voting to
against
divide
that
that out.
policy in
Separate
and of itself.
Yeah, you're separating it out. That's all you're doing.
Just want to be clear.
Okay, unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. So now we're voting on 6.9A, the balance of the board policy revisions, subtracting out board policy 1500. I have a motion from trustee Jamal and a second from trustee Jay. Any requests to speak on the balance of the board policy revisions? Seeing none, we will vote on that balance. Okay, we got a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. So now we're looking at board policy 1500 exclusively. And we have a motion to approve it from trustee Jamal and a second from trustee Jay. So now if everyone can look at 1500, I'm curious if there's a way to address trustee Lang's concerns through amendment or revision versus voting it no entirely, and if you had any suggestions as to what you would accept in that regard.
Well, I would certainly say that the only.
Microphone.
Okay. I would say the only item that I think is, the only serious item that I find objectionable is number 3. I just think that the figures that we've put in here are somewhat arbitrary, and in my opinion, and you know, I would certainly accept language to the effect, if you left it at extraordinary financial support, to be you know, further provided in the form of supporting policy rate or board regulations, something along those lines.
Okay, so with that, I guess I'll refer to trustee Jamal, who's on the board policy revision advisory committee.
I support the policy as is. I think it can be re-examined at any point. It's had significant review and input from the board policy subcommittee, the chancellor, the vice chancellor of business services, the foundations, the chancellor's committee that looks at board policies. I think we need to approve it tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Milchker, you withdrew yours. All right, trustee Witt.
Serving on the foundation as representative from the board, we've been going through this a lot, and as trustee Jamal said, we have really reviewed this. Trustee Lang, if you look at 3F.
Yeah, no, I see where we've provided some discretionary ability to carve things out.
And I presented this to the foundation, to the board, to the executive council, and they felt at this time, the way it's written, let it be, but they were satisfied with the F, because they're not satisfied with numbers either. And to be honest with you, someone said, we'll give you $10 million for the name rights on the scoreboard. I don't think we would turn that down. I mean, well, I don't know that. But I'm just saying, we have to be reasonable. Is someone going to come in and give us $39 million to name the stadium after them? I don't think so. But if someone gave us $15 million, we would have to go to F and reconsider. So I do believe those numbers are important. The chancellor and vice chancellor, they went through great research to find out what other colleges do. So I believe that F is our overpowering defense here.
Okay. So with that, seeing no more requests to speak, let's go ahead and vote on board policy 1500 solely. We have 5 trustee yes votes, 1 trustee no, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.10, academic employee and classified administrator personnel actions. Other than the readout I have here, do you have any other input on this item?
There's no changes.
Okay. So I've got a new personal appointment, administrative employee, Position Dean for Enrollment Services, employee name Corey Rogers, contract dates April 29, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Range and step is 22 and 4. Annual salary 171,348. Monthly allowances transportation 250, cell phone 165. Position Executive Director of College Foundation, employee name Elizabeth McCann, contract dates May 13th, 2019 through June 30th, 2021. Range and step 22 and 4. Annual salary 171,348. Monthly allowances transportation 250, cell phone 165. With that, I have a motion and a second, or a motion from Trustee Milchiker, a second from Trustee Jay, and a request to speak from Trustee Milchiker.
I just wanted to point out to everyone that one of the people that are retiring is Bob Urell. And I remember taking a computer science class for him before I was on the Board of Trustees. So that was many years ago. So he's been a computer science instructor and a business instructor for many years. And just thought I'd mention that we'll miss him. So thank you.
Okay, Trustee Lang.
Well, I'm going to echo everything that Trustee Milchiker just said. I also wanted to acknowledge Bob Urell and the significant contribution that he's made to Irvine Valley College. He's been a wonderful resource for your college.
Okay. Seeing no more requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous trustee yes vote, one trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.11, faculty conversion to campus, one-time stipends. A motion from Trustee Witt and a second from Trustee Jay. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll vote on this item. We have 5 trustee yes votes, 1 trustee no, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.12, classified personnel actions. Any changes or input? No changes. Okay. So seeing no requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on this item. Unanimous trustee yes vote, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.13, non-bargaining unit personnel actions. Motion from Trustee Jamal, second from Trustee Lang. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. We have a unanimous trustee yes vote, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. 6.14, Faculty Association Master Agreement. You have a motion from Trustee Jamal and a second from Trustee Jay. Seeing no requests to speak, I will state that we had lots of accolades last month, so this is a long time coming, and we're happy to see it finished. With that, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Have a unanimous trustee yes vote, 1 trustee absent, and a student advisory yes vote. Now on to reports. Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Any questions or requests to speak on those? 7.2, staff response to public comments from previous board meeting, none. 7.3, facilities plan status report. We don't need a motion to pass it, Trustee Witt, but would you like to speak or you have a question?
No, well, I did. I just remembered that a couple of sessions ago, I was asking that if every other board meeting, we could have an update on the completion of our buildings. You remember that?
Which building?
That's what this is.
Oh, and the status, okay, all right. I didn't get that far.
Wasn't gonna ask, now I am.
All right, go ahead.
I think I'm gonna ask this every month. What's the status of the stadium?
Oh, does that mean I can ask the status of the pool? What's the status of the pool?
Make a recording.
We're not changing the pool.
No, the new pool at IVC.
That's, yes,
What
that's
number
not
is it
on
on
the
the
plan.
list?
That one's not even started yet, so I know how
There
far
is no
that.
plan for that at the moment. So the stadium, it's the same status as where we were last month, although I will say that they are, now that the rains have stopped, we are seeing much more progress and seeing some things change a little bit more quickly. So we have lighting poles out of the ground, and they're starting to move along, but it's not going to be done any sooner than what we've already said.
Are there, how should I ask this? I mean, are the people at Saddleback College, are they satisfied with the progress and what's likely to be the finished product? We're talking about an 8,000 seat stadium, correct? And where are we in terms of total cost at the moment? 63 million or 65 million?
The project budget is 62,230,000.
62.23. Now, projects often have change orders. Do you foresee this project having change orders?
There will be change orders, yes. At this point, we are anticipating that it will still stay within the total project budget so that the project budget isn't going to increase.
Is there anything that we as trustees, because it's such a big community project, we presented to city councils on it, I know I did. Is there anything that might not be included in the final product where we'd be surprised that it was not included?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm going to allow President Stern to answer.
I'll answer both parts of the question. So the first part of the question might surprise you. I think people at Saddleback are thrilled about this stadium. I think they know it's going to be state-of-the-art and one of the coolest things in Southern California community colleges. And despite delays, I think everybody understands that those things happen, and in the end, they're going to get everything they wanted. Along the way, we've had some discussions about what I would call some luxury items, Trustee Jamal. Wiring, for instance, for Fox News to be able to broadcast where we were not able to do some things that they wanted when they came in very late in the game and decided to add those things. But they are getting everything state of the art.
So just to that point, you mean when games are broadcast on the networks, we're not able to accommodate like Fox Sports West and those networks? That would be a problem.
No, not at all. They just have to bring in equipment to do it. Some of the pre-wiring pipe in anytime, Anne-Marie. Some of the equipment has to be brought in, which might serve as an inconvenience to them, but not sufficiently to disincentivize them.
What would it cost to install pre-wire that? I'm just curious.
Do you remember that one?
I want to say it's around 500,000.
And that wasn't in.
Does that sound?
So that wasn't in 62.3 million. That wasn't included in the budget to do that.
No, it was not. So we're.
No, what you don't.
So let's. We're
Come
putting
on,
in some of the infrastructure, but as Dr. Stern mentioned, it won't be a plug and play. So they will need to bring a lot of their own equipment, some of their cabling, to where they would have to tape down the cabling. So that's the piece. Some of the infrastructure that's under the ground and in the poles that need to be there will be there, but it will not be why can I not say that?
Yeah, plug and play.
And it is a pretty substantial increase to do so.
All right.
Oh, I want to talk.
Trustee Witt.
I know what time it is. This is important. TV is money, and if we went out of our way to do the 500,000 now, I bet we could get that in just one. What is it called when the stations come and televise? I mean, that is such big bucks. You know how thrifty I am, and $500,000 for this, I think, is needed. Am I crazy? I mean, tell me, sports is big bucks.
Professional sports is big bucks.
No, well, no, college sports is big bucks. I mean, NCAA is a $1 billion operation. I mean,
Community college is not.
yeah,
college
I understand
sports.
that.
Hey, a couple months ago, I was on TV because Air Force was playing and ESPN was there. I mean,
There's a
not that
difference
that matters
between
that I was.
NC2A and
What?
community
What?
college. There's a difference between NC2A and community college. Yeah.
Well, then let's make it big time.
Trustee Jay. Microphone.
I thought with the stadium, we'll be renting it out, and we could be renting it for maybe the Olympics, some professional teams. So
Possibly, Trustee Jay. I mean, I definitely would not count on that being substantial revenue. I mean, it'd be nice if we could use the new stadium, some kind of training facility for either Olympics or professional teams. I think it's possible, but I don't think anything has been agreed to as far as that.
All right, seeing no more requests to speak. 7.4, monthly financial status report. .5, retiree OPEB trust fund. 7.6, basic aid report. 7.7, quarterly financial status report. All right, 8.0, reports from Administrative and Governance Group, Saddleback College Academic Senate.
Good evening. I want to thank you for approving the new faculty contract tonight. I want to send kudos to Jeannie Harris Caldwell and our student health services. My office is right next door to a whole row of intern psychologists helping our students. And I can't tell you what a difference it makes. Last semester, I had 7 students lose a family member during the semester. This semester, 5. And I found that the ones that actually make contact with the Student Health Center usually continue through the end of the semester, and the ones that don't just disappear. I also want to thank the trustees tonight who voted to support funding for Tara Westover, New York Times bestseller. Her book is on Bill Gates' book list. And if you want to talk about what makes Saddleback an extraordinary college, it's sports, it's maybe having the Olympics here, but it's also having national class speakers who talk about critical things that affect our students. So this year we've been talking about drug overdoses. And one of the students who lost a family member lost it to suicide via drug overdose. So these books help us to bring into our classroom discussions. We don't know what the ripple effect is, but I know it has an effect, a positive effect, with talking with our students about it. Tara Westover's book is about students whose family don't value education. And I've had some homeschooled students in my classes with extraordinary education at home, and some with virtually no education at home, struggling to fit into community college. So I think these are very important discussions to have. It comes out of the student success measures here at the college. It's about bringing literacy to our students, about having them look at bigger ideas than just the subjects that they choose to study. So I just want to thank you for that. I think that's a huge, huge positive thing for our college. Thank you.
Faculty Association.
Good evening, trustees, and Chancellor Burke and student trustee Huang. I don't have a report tonight, but I also want to echo the gratitude that Blake Stevens mentioned regarding the approval of the master agreement that the district's team and the faculty association's team and you all worked so hard to approve. I know there were lots of accolades last meeting about that work. I guess one is a nerd when one misses a board meeting. And I don't mean like miss being absent, but like wishing you were there when you are absent. Because, well, as much as I appreciated the president's company and seeing those two students recognized at the awards luncheon for being named to the All-California Academic Team, I did wish that I was here with my colleagues at Chili's in their black t-shirts, here before the board. I'm especially appreciative of past President Mark Blethen, who I understand paid a tribute to Lee Haggerty, and appreciate very much the board's adjourning of the last meeting in his memory. And if I missed board meetings regularly, I would miss wonderful things said by wonderful students who, if you think her assessment is spot on here, you ought to see her with a Shakespearean comedy or a tragedy or romance. With that, thank you again for your work.
Okay. Irvine Valley College Academic Senate.
Thank you. I want to commend Evelyn for her service. You are poised, intelligent, empathetic, and beautiful in mind and spirit. You are a leader and serve as a role model for students, for women, and for women of color, and I'm proud of you, Evelyn. I want to thank the board for recognizing a day of remembrance for the Armenian genocide. We live in an exceedingly diverse community and must become more demonstrably culturally competent. We must honor and remember all incidents of genocides across history and across the globe in order to honor those who lost their lives, to educate our children, and to raise awareness for incidences that are not often spoken of, causing the victims to be silenced once again. I do not have a member of my family who is Armenian, but I have taught many Armenian students and say this on their behalf. Finally, not finally, but ATEP ... question mark? I don't know why that was brought up, but I would like you to know that IVC faculty and students are there, very focused on ATEP success. IVC's Academic Senate is very focused on the Idea School and ATEP success, and we want to be a partner working together with everybody in the district and making this an amazing place for both colleges and for the district. And then finally, to reiterate Dr. Rockmore's sentiments, IVC faculty are deeply saddened by the loss of our dear colleague, Professor Colin McCaughey.
Okay. Vice Chancellor, Technology and Learning Services is absent. So we'll go on to Vice Chancellor, Human Services, who has a stand-in.
And she has no report.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor, Business Services.
No report.
Irvine Valley College Classified Senate.
I just have a couple things. As we're ending out our year, we are going to be having in June our half-day professional development summit and recognition luncheon for classified, as well as currently we're just going through our election process for 2019-21. That's all.
Okay, I guess we'll go to Saddleback College Classified Senate.
I have no report tonight, but I would like to give a special thanks to ASG,
at Saddleback College, and all the students, staff, and faculty that made Angels, or the Saddleback College Night at Angel Stadium a success. We went and had a lot of staff members go, and it was a great evening. Thank you.
Okay.
Who threw out the pitches? Mr. Stern threw out the pitches.
Oh.
Did he make it to home plate?
Do we have video of that? That I want to see.
We were so close to finishing the meeting.
I so want to see
Did
that
someone
video.
film it? Did someone film it?
Way too many.
We want the video.
I want the video.
All right. Classified or CSCA.
Thank you, Mr. President. In lieu of time, I'm going to make a short report. The first thing, to do a little bit of house cleaning. We just wanted to remind everyone of the Saddleback College Cinema Showcase as part of the Newport Beach Film Festival this Saturday at Lido Theater in Newport Beach, starting at 1:30. We have a wonderful lineup, and we hope that you can make it. Also, too, we have, for CSCA, we have a delegate election coming up that we'll be sending to the CSCA conference, which is coming up at the end of July. And the members that we do, the delegates that we do send there will help make the decisions for CSCA statewide. Finally, I am very proud to wear denim. Any assault whatsoever is appalling, and it should be prosecuted to the greatest extent of the law. But any assault on women is that much more an abomination and just absolutely despicable. Women should be cherished. They should be valued. The women in history, the greatest voices for the development of culture and to change society, have come from the voices of women. Queen Elizabeth I, Queen Victoria, Mother Teresa, it goes on and on. The greatest speech I ever heard in my life was Congressman Barbara Jordan of Texas at the 1976 Democratic Convention, the first woman and the first African American to ever address a national convention. One of the things that also is part of history that is not mentioned is the assault on African American slaves in the history of this country, because they never got reported. A lot of times it gets buried in history, and there's been some collateral damage and some results that come from such assaults. We need to recognize as Americans that these things did take place, they did happen, and we need to address to make sure it never happens again. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask my colleagues join me in support of adjourning tonight's meeting in honor of Colin McCaughey, Professor of Administration of Justice at Irvine Valley College for over 14 years. We learned about the tragic news on Friday, April 12th that Colin passed away. We share with our IVC and SOCCCD family the sadness of losing a remarkable colleague and a friend to many. Colin was respected and will be remembered with fondness for his dedication to his family, energetic support of his students, and love for IVC. Our thoughts and prayers are with Colin McCaughey's family, friends, and colleagues. He will be greatly missed. Thank you.